Jenni Minto.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I think it is quite right that Parliament celebrates Scottish Food and Drink Fortnight. I will start by quoting The Scots Kitchen by F. Marion McNeill, a Scottish author, suffragist and a founder member of the Scottish National Party. The art of a country always has its roots in the soil. It is the natural conditions and products that determine the general character of the national cuisine. Our natural larder. Argyll and Bute is a natural larder. A lush landscape, nutrient-filled waters and passionate food producers. Wherever you go today in Argyll and Bute, its wonderful food and drink is only a footstep away. Last week I ate langoustine in Oban, then locally caught sea bream served with vegetables from our own allotment, and I toasted a sadly departed friend, Jenni Bishop, from Jura with local gin. In Argyll and Bute, people know the strength of locally, sustainably produced, raised or caught produce. Shops proudly display shop local, eat local. My local shop in Port Charlotte gives locals and visitors the chance to buy local produce, and this is replicated across the island and Argyll and Bute. The towns that I have visited during recess have new delis and food shops opening, Oban, Loch Gilphead and Campbelltown, and established shops are also expanding their ranges. The Scottish Government's £10 million investment in Scotland Loves Local is helping revitalise our high streets, encouraging people back to them. And throughout the pandemic, the food and drink sectors worked together for the common good to support communities. Argyll Bakeries, for example, employed a chef who prepared ready-made meals, which became key stock items across the constituency. Distilleries provided hand sanitisers. Local hauliers supported volunteers to help distribute food packages. As the First Minister said yesterday, cooperation and working together allow ideas to come to fruition with far better outcomes. In 1784, the French traveller Faujas de Siffond tells of the variety and abundance of Argyll's table. On the island of Mull, he described the breakfast table, elegantly covered with plates of smoked beef, cheese, fresh eggs, salted herrings, butter, milk and cream, currant jelly, conserve of myrtle, tea, coffee, 3 kinds of bread and Jamaica rum. Mr Rennie, no broccoli, sadly. Almost 240... Yes, of course.
Finlay Carson.
The Deputy President Officer, my stomach starts to rumble, and it's nice to hear of all these things. But will the member acknowledge that some of the sectors you're talking about, so the inshore fisheries, the salmon farming industry and agriculture, have some real fears about the new coalition you formed with the Green Party?
Jenni Minto.
I think the coalition that we're forming with the Green Party will also look at everything in the round. We'll look at both the way that we produce items and also the environment, and I think that can only be positive for our natural larder. Argyll and the Isles Tourism, I'll continue. Argyll and the Isles Tourism Cooperative are wild about Argyll, and they have established Taste of Place trails. These support small-scale, high-quality specialist produce, giving visitors an opportunity to speak to local people and sample their very special produce. If you haven't visited Argyll, I suggest you come and discover that. I know that these trails will capture your imagination and captivate your taste buds. Spirit and beer. There are over 20 distilleries and breweries, all using the natural larder of Argyll and Bute in their processes. The water, the botanicals and the peat all enhance their flavour. And with the stunning scenery, where better to raise a toast. Coffee and cake from Southend to Dalmally, in phone boxes, in cafes, in horse boxes. We find a lot of uses for horse boxes in Argyll. And you can find wonderful home baking, washed down with a mug of Tyree Crofter's tea or Argyll roasted coffee. There's the seafood trail. Lochfine herrings were historically celebrated for their delicious flavour and were sent in barrels here to Edinburgh. And then as Finlay Calder, no, that's the wrong name, sorry, but there's also langoustine, crab, lobster, salmon, mussels, getting my politicians and my rugby players mixed up, I think, both from Dumfries and Galloway, I believe. Oysters, queenies, halibut, whitefish, the rich bounty of our sea, and artisanal sea salt and kelp. The farm produce trail, lamb raised on the hilly uplands, Highland cattle on the less favoured land, milk in Kintyre and Bute, and of course barley for whisky, and some are diversifying into ice cream. And then we have the new vegan trail. Roth says Isle of Bute Foods is the home of cheese, a manufacturer and world exporter of vegan cheese. As I said in my first speech in this chamber, a permanent solution must be found, and quickly, for the rest, and be thankful. And we also need reliable, versatile ferry fleet. Everyone depends on being able to travel throughout Argyll and Bute safely and easily. And I'm pleased that the Minister and his team are bringing new energy and commitment to solving these. And I thank the Transport Minister for his detailed update in the chamber earlier on the rest, and be thankful. And of course, our food and drink businesses are currently focused on keeping the shelves full as they face huge labour shortages, keeping employees safe as the pandemic continues, as well as getting to grip with the new processes, paperwork and IT systems involved in exporting their products to the EU as a result of the chaos of Brexit. One shellfish operator I spoke to exported 60% of his catch to the EU in 2019. Now he no longer exports there. He has to find new markets. Thankfully, Scottish Development International have done amazing work in this area, but the food and drinks industry needs Scottish Government support to enable them to adapt their produce to meet the requirements of these new buyers. And this morning at the RAIN Committee, we heard evidence from the food and drinks industry and their fears. It is imperative that this is heard and urgent action is taken. So to finish, Presiding Officer, it is said you are what you eat. And this is true of nations as well as individuals. Argyll and Bute's larder, Scotland's larder, are vital to our health, wealth and well-being. Imagine what we can do with these resources in an independent Scotland.
Thank you, Ms Minto. I'm feeling decidedly peckish after your tour de force of the produce of Argyll and Bute.